is that time of the weekday, and this is the desk on Global Television. I'm Wiyag Mofrebe in for Anthony Momodu. First off, Nigeria celebrated music icon Onyeka Onwenu, known as the Elegant Stallion, has been laid to rest in Lagos. The artist died on July 30, 2024 at Reddington Hospital, Ikeja, after collapsing at an event honoring the managing director of Emzor Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Stella Okoli. The funeral service was held at the Fountain of Life Church in Lukpeju in Lagos, followed by a private burial at a vault in Ikoyi. An irreparable loss indeed. Tonight we have conversations, at least 4 of them, big stories lined up for you here in the course of the program. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we will get talking full throttle. Stay with us, everyone.
Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria, come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely. Can we not say that because
this country gets it right?
who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria, come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts.
Thank you for staying with us on the desk, everyone. My guest tonight is Engineer Toba Owojaye, Public Affairs Analyst. Toba, it's a pleasure to have you on the program tonight.
Thank you, sir. Good to be on your show.
I can imagine.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the first conversation tonight, which just focuses basically on the farmer-header clashes that has happened in series in this country. And now an institute says the struggle for survival is the factor heightening this crisis. Director General of the Institute of Peace and Conflict Resolution, Dr. Joseph Ochogu, today said that the struggle for survival and worsened climate change are heightening the crisis of farmer-header clashes in the country. Now, he noted that the conflicts between farmers and herders in Nigeria are deeply rooted in a combination of historical, environmental, economic, and socio-political factors. You know, before now we were attributing this to a particular tribe or ethnic group in Nigeria and all that, but this institute has a different perspective altogether, one that is radically different, saying that, look, climate change is there. I mean, deforestation, desertification, and I mean, you have a lot of them. Of course, you have these socio-economic factors also driving this narrative. But does that solve the problem?
It's good to take in every factor into cognizance, but that doesn't solve the problem. There are going to be those that are more pronounced. Right. Like Nigeria, the farms are stationary, but the headers are migratory in nature.
Nomadic.
Yes, nomadic in nature. And you see that people who over generations have moved their cows, which is their commodity, across countries. What we are looking at is a map of Nigeria. What they are looking at is not a map of Nigeria. They are looking at a grazing route that spans across 5 countries, 7 countries. So Nigeria is just a part of that grazing route, in their opinion. And over many years, they have moved their cattle for centuries within those routes. And when our population wasn't this much, it wasn't a problem. But now our population has blown over the last 100 years. And the places that were not largely habited by people are now being habited by people. Many places where there was no farming, because we didn't have any plenty people, now the demand on farming is large. So roots that they had called their own roots, but they never stayed there, have now become people's villages and towns. So how do I move with my large cattle across this route that my great-grandfather has always moved and told us? Like, let me use an example in Kaduna. You call a place in southern Kaduna that has a 95% population. The name of the place is called Zango Kataf. Zango is like a camp in Kataf of cows. So once you allow them, you allow the herders give your community a name, and that name has stuck for 200 years, then what you're saying is that they named your place. These are the realities of what we are having. So these routes that were places people could pass is no more a route people can pass. People's farms are there. People's businesses are there. We need to wake up like every other technology has woken up. The owner of VCD cannot come and say the world must still be stuck at VCD. The world has moved on to DVD. The world has moved on to Netflix. The world is moving. Cattle rearing must move. Developed countries are ranching. They need to make this a business matter, not a tribal matter, not an ethnic matter. This is a business matter. You are moving around a commodity. You have done this business this way for 200 years. It worked that way. It is not working again.
Because of the realities we have today.
Because of the present realities. This is what we're saying. You see, once you do it devoid of religion, devoid of ethnicity,
and politics,
devoid of politics, you get a solution. Next problem I want to mention is that the cows they are picking, the Fulani, the cows that are being breded now, are cows that are low resistant to diseases, are very nomadic in nature. They cannot be ranched. That's another problem. The cows we have now cannot be ranched. If they are ranched, they die.
And they lose money.
Yes, and they lose money. So how do you move people who have taken a breed of cows that need to move, are resistant to disease, have very low meat, very low milk, but works for them? How do you move them from that to going to another breed of cows that don't move a lot, stay in one place, a ranch, and produce more meat? This is what the government, this is what everybody needs to talk about on a purely economic level.
Who should lead this sort of conversation, Toba? Because we have been here several times. At the point we did some sort of public hearing to say, if we went to state houses of assembly to say whether or not we should ranch. Some people say yes, we should ranch. Others say no, we shouldn't ranch. Then you have others who sat on the fence and all of that. How do we break these jinx? Because that seems to be what it is now.
Yes, you see, the way I have I've approached this matter is the way they need to approach this matter. Do not say we are removing this business from the Fulani herder. Bring them together. This is this brand of cows. You cannot phase them off immediately. It's like any other product. Like I've told you, VCD was not phased off overnight. Another product came and phased it out. Let's be honest. Facebook was not there for life. There are other platforms. When it came on, it phased those ones out. So this must be phased out. Bring the people to the reality of this. I have suggested that each region should have their own ranching. If Southeast brings in their own cows and ranches their own cows, they will supply their own cows and meat to their own people. It's a disruption. You don't beg people in a disruption. And you see, let's be honest, the person who owns a former business can never be the person who brings the disruption.
It has to be a different entity altogether.
It has to be a completely different entity that now competes with that. So make this available to them. You can either innovate or die or perish.
You have those two options in front of you.
Yeah, these are the two options in front of you. You can bring in and you can give some sort of incentive. Okay, let's provide the ranching space. Let's provide some foreign breed of cow and give it to you. Try it out for 1 year and see if you're comfortable with this. But this cannot, we have to say, this cannot and will not go on forever.
Let's hope that alternative happens real soon, because as it stands right now, it's not just about those who are in the business of cattle breeding or rearing losing money. It's also about something far more important, which is the sanctity of human life. I mean, look at what has happened in Benue alone. You go to Kaduna, it's the same story. All the way from Taraba to Plateau, the entire northwest and northeast is the same exact story. Would you say the government has been hypocritical about this conversation?
Everybody who knows governance and politics are usually very careful around this conversation.
Because it's sensitive, isn't it?
Yes, it's very sensitive. Because you're talking about at least 40% of voters who can unite in one direction.
And create an offset.
Yes, who have an apathy towards this way life has been. So it's not easy to bring to the table honestly, to have an honest conversation. But the president, the vice president, and most of the people in power need to call all the chiefs together. Let's try ranching. See, everybody likes to make money.
That's right.
Let's give you the ranch. Let's give you some small deals in the ranching place. Supply this, supply electricity, we are renting your land. Once people begin to make money from another system, they're willing to change. But what are you going to tell the man who has 2,000 cows to drop his 2,000 cows? This is his life. This is what he's done for generations. His grandfather gave this to him. So it's a tough conversation, but the president needs to have this. We need this peace. We need this solved so that we can solve insecurity. When we solve insecurity, we can now be able to convince investors that they can invest anywhere in Nigeria. No smart investor, hardly any smart investor can invest in Nigeria now as it is.
I think that's a no-brainer to say, quite frankly. But tonight, we turn to a couple of other things. This time, issues around cost of governance in this country, which is a long-standing conversation. Amid calls by Nigerians for a lower cost of governance, the personnel cost of the 36 states in Nigeria for the 2024 financial year hit 2.76 trillion naira. That's something just a little shy from 3 trillion naira. Now, in 2023, the wage bill of the states, according to their approved budget documents available on Open States powered by Civic Tech Innovation Platform, that is budget, stood at 2.26 trillion naira, which is an indication that about 901.88 billion naira had been added to the wage bill in 2 years and 501.16 billion naira in 1 year. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. The entire article from this narrative actually indicts governors, not just these current governors, but governors over time, how they have been very profligate with spending public funds, how a governor can wake up one morning and decide to engage, or if you like, hire 1,000 SSAs. Then when it's close to election, you can even decide to hire 2,000 SSAs and all of that. Is there any possibility we can put some sort of rail guards or control measures in place to check this madness?
I think the people are the measures that are already in place, but they do not know the power that they have. Next is the immunity governors have. I have not really seen any protest against governors.
So it's always been about the federal government?
It's always about the federal government. Now you need to... I told you earlier that I voted Tinubu. So when I speak about Peter Obi, it's not because I voted him, though it's someone I like. The man was one of the most frugal governors in Nigeria's history. By nature, not because he was contesting for anything. By nature, the man is frugal. If he was driving in a convoy and there are 3 cars, it is when he gets into those 3 cars, the 3 cars will drive into the filling station. And they'll buy fuel in his presence, fill tank. And when they buy next time, he will be there to be there. You see, we're not saying that everybody has to be like that, but the country is heavily debt ridden. The states are very down on debt. Why do we always buy new cars? You see, this is my problem with the government sometimes. I believe in their policies. I truly believe in the direction they want to take us. But like I've said before, a father cannot tell the family, we are hungry, there's no money. So let's BF with each other, we'll eat in the evening, let's fast. And then 10 o'clock, the father goes to buy chicken.
This 10 a.m.
Yes, and 10 a.m. the father goes to buy chicken and brings a big plate of food and sits in the parlor, puts on the TV and eats it in front of the children.
All by himself.
Yes. This is what we have now in Nigeria. So they are telling us something, but what they are doing has not proven anything otherwise. We are saying cut down on spending. There's nothing wrong with a car that was bought 2019. Sir, if you are dashed a Jeep that was bought 2019, wouldn't you like it? That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with a car that was bought 2019. It has good AC, it has good mileage. It's still good. We cannot, at a point of stringency, continue spending like we're in excess. We cannot. It's a double speak. We're saying we don't have money, but our expenses, because you see, in accounting, don't follow what the person has said, follow what he spends on. In governance, don't follow what he says, follow what he spends on.
Because it points you to what his priorities are.
It just tells you what it is. It's not forget the leg over. This is not football. Watch where the ball is going. The ball is still going to spending on very wasteful things. This must be curbed. Agencies that are facing only the presidency must begin to face the governors. The governors must be put under pressure for their spending. This must happen to save us.
It's interesting because some people have said governors in Nigeria are such that the laws allow them to be more like some sort of emperor. And as such, there's almost next to nothing you can do in terms of trying to hold them to account. I mean, look at Budget, for example, a civic space, a civic platform that's doing an amazing work. You have that. And you have a few other ones along that line. You have civil society organizations scattered across the length and breadth of this country and so on and so forth. And then by the time these governors leave office, the next thing you hear is they've been arrested by the FCC, they're being questioned, they've been charged to court, they've been granted bail in the sum of 500 million naira with 2 sureties and like sum, and the whole story dies a natural death. How do we reverse that cycle?
It's very tough, to be honest, because you see, immunity the governors have gives them, let me use a very recent example of my governor, Yabe Bello, the ex-governor of
Kogi State.
Kogi State. This is Nigeria's problem. Forget every other drama. This is Nigeria's problem. He has his tribe will back him. And his governor, the governor we have now, is from his tribe, who is his cousin in some way, who he put on the seat, is backing him. And when EFCC was going to look for him, the House of Assembly of Kogi State, who he put in place, also told EFCC to back off. So this is the Nigerian problem. We defend our thief. And we are proud to defend our thief. We say, catch another thief, but leave my own thief. So if you push that a governor has done wrong, when 2 people from outside that state comment on social media, the people on the state will now turn on you. Why are you talking to our governor like this? So this is our issue. We don't stay on the topic. We don't stay on the issues. If a governor spends anyhow, anybody can call him out. This is how countries function. Britain has changed leadership 3 times in 2 years.
Right.
If they're not okay with you every 6 months, you are gone. We must get here. We must get to where people are speaking on these matters. We must get to convictions. I'm not too impressed with the work the EFCC is doing. I've not understood how Bawa left and has not been called to explain anything. I've not understood how Magu left and was not called to explain anything. There's too much that we leave going while people are dying.
Does that not leave a lot of questions at the doorstep of President Bola Tinubu, because he was the one who, quote unquote, sent both, sent Bawa away, but in the case of Emefiele, he has been going to court every other week. Bawa left the detention of the DSS, and that was how the matter was swept under the carpet. So shouldn't the president be called out in this regard?
How do I explain politics and governance? Our problem is that we have far more politics than governance. Far more decisions are taken from a political standpoint than from governance. Let me give an example. 90 billion was spent on Hajj. As much as we who are the masses can complain about it, I can assure you that no presidential candidate, go and fact check me, will complain about it.
Why is that?
Because 2027 they are going to go back to the north and ask for votes.
So you have to be politically correct?
Yes. If you can show me where Atiku or Obi has complained about the 90 billion that was spent on Hajj, I want to see where it was said. So as much as they know it's wrong, they know that 2 years' time,
And go back to that region.
they're going back to that region for votes. This is Nigeria. I don't like to stay in a theoretical Nigeria. I like to stay in the Nigeria that we can see the problems and then solve the problems. So this is why there are many times the president is seeing things that he can handle, but he's looking at 2027. So that's why most times presidents do better in Nigeria in their second tenure.
Because they don't have
at that
anything to
point,
lose.
there's nobody to pander to. You just do what you want to do. So this is Nigeria. It's bad, but this is the reality on ground.
Now that you have dragged in the EFCC in the manner of speaking, then maybe we should go that route for a second. Because as it stands right now, it will appear there's already, as it were, a template, so to speak, that the EFCC uses for governors who are just leaving office. We saw that with Obiano, for example. Years ago, we had seen it with even Lucky Benedict, former governor of Edo State. I mean, there has just been a series, like a trajectory, of how it deals with these governors. So it's as if the governors are now so familiar and comfortable with the process, so they already know what the worst case scenario will be with the FCC, and they are all braced up and prepped up for it and stuff like that. But how can the people find empowerment in the area of holding their governors accountable? Because these last 10 days of protest in August has brought to the fore the importance of people taking protests, peaceful protests, that is, to their own governors. You can't be crying to Abuja because you missed breakfast, or because your toothpaste is out, or because you couldn't catch the early morning flight or something. What exactly are the governors doing? In recent times, you understand that allocations to states have skyrocketed. Governors are not having that conversation. All right. Instead, they are redirecting everybody to Abuja. These protesters went to some states governments that are even APC states. And the governors are saying, don't worry, we'll take your petitions, we'll take your concerns and your demands to the president. As if the president overnight became the biological father of over 200 million Nigerians. How do we deal with that?
See, realistically, the first thing is orientation.
For the people?
Yes, for the people. And for the pressure groups. Because people are usually, would I call it, short-minded, short-sighted.
Right.
All the pain we're going through. Let me tell you that I still believe, as a political analyst, that a large part of the last protest was politically motivated. I still believe that because I understand politics. Is it that people were not hungry? People were hungry. Is it that people came out to protest? People came out to protest. But I will tell you how politics plays out. Now, the people who can contest against Tinubu are no more than 5 or even 4 realistically.
And those are who?
I won't go to their names now, but let me just mention this theoretically. Now they have seen that, okay, what are the issues now? There's enough hunger on the ground, because hunger is the greatest tool for an uprising. Hunger and injustice is the greatest tool for an uprising. IBB said we could have done the coup 1 year earlier, but the people were not hungry and angry enough.
At that point?
Yes.
So we have to wait another year?
We have to wait till they were hungry and angry.
To justify the action?
Yes, so that when we strike the match, it will catch fire. Right? So the people who are politicians have looked at, fuel is 1,000 now. This is good time to, food is high. Everything is high. Everybody's, 90% of the country are angry with the president. I will tell you that. Okay? And are not enjoying the economy of the country as it is. But what if by 2026 the president now brings fuel to 200 naira? Okay, let's even say 100 naira. The president brings fuel to 100 naira, and then dollar drops to 400 naira or 500 naira. The people will have forgotten their pain of 2 years. This is how people function. And all you will see by that time is the praise of the president. So the political actors have said, if we wait for 2026, there will be nothing to act on.
The purpose would have been defeated.
Yes, so let's act now that the people are hungry and angry. You're getting my point?
So are you saying even if there hadn't been any political interference, the people were not motivated enough, again, based on those two factors, hunger and what have you, to have, to have taken that step to say we want to protest?
You see, the people are masses. I want you to understand. In any country, any part of the world, they will always need leaders. They will always need people to support them. Read the Bible, read the Quran. There's Moses. There's always a leader. There's always somebody pulling people forward. The people don't just go by themselves. It's all throughout history. So I'm not saying it was a bad thing. It was a very good thing. I believe that more will take place, and I believe that it makes the government sit up. It makes the government afraid of the people. The government should be afraid of the people, not the people afraid of the government. So protests help to get that happen. We saw that with NSAS. We saw that with this 10 days protest. So there are good that came out of it. But this, I'm just giving you the overlay of how it played out.
Okay, so much to talk about on the show tonight, but this is the desk. We're looking at some big stories coming out of this country today and just helping to shape the narratives and put the conversations on the right path for you. We're taking a quick break. When we return, there's a big conversation about the price of cement and what the chairman of BUA Group, Abdul Samad Rabiu, now says is essentially responsible for frustrating the efforts of his company to cut down the price of this essential commodity, cement, to 3,500. I'm sure you're interested in knowing what that means, but that will be after this break. Now, the chairman of BUA Group, Abdul Samad Rabiu, says his company's intention to slash the price of cement from 4,500 naira to 3,500 naira per bag last year was frustrated by the actions of cement dealers. Now, he was speaking at the firm's 8th annual general meeting held in Abuja, where the company's chairman said BUA had sold over 1 million tons of cement to dealers at a price of 3,500 naira per bag. Now, the dealers, however, he said, were selling each bag for between 7,000 and 8,000 naira to consumers. To put it mildly, that's exploitative, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Like I said, this is the problem of Nigeria. We know our problems. The problems is that 90% of Nigerians we are capitalists. That's why anywhere we go in the world, we succeed. That's why if you go to any country, among all the black races and any other immigrants in that place, Nigerians are one of the loudest, most successful.
Always topping the charts.
Always topping the charts. We are capitalists by nature. So no matter what you give to us, except we build a commonwealth, we don't have a commonwealth. What Nigeria is struggling from now is the lack of only one thing, a commonwealth. And a commonwealth culture, let me put it that way. So when a Nigerian has, I'm coming back to this cement example, when a Nigerian has a chance to get a cement for lower than the price, and he sees how much it sells in the market and how much people can pay for it, somewhere in the line, he increases his price to benefit from it. So we're talking about middlemen, we're talking about transporters, we're talking about policemen on the road that have to collect something, or other officers collecting something on the road. We're talking about the retailers. Everybody sells at the market price at the end of the day. I saw this happen in Buhari's government. Buhari shut the border for food. Shut the border for 8 years for food. Gave them grants, gave them fertilizer, gave them seedlings. And immediately their products were harvested. Guess what they did? They went to find out the price of that same commodity in the market, and they sold for that price. So no matter how much you subsidize things for Nigerians in general, we will still capitalize on it. Our nature will make us sell it at the highest possible price. Last month, the president gave grains through the Ministry of Agric. And the next 2 days, we saw videos of people rebagging the grains and selling. You got 100 bags of rice for free, which is part of Nigeria's fault. How do you give somebody 100 bags of rice to share for free? We are not running a credible system. What this man should have done from start is to tell us, not today. Should have told us from that day, this is going at 3,500. The big retailers are getting it for this price. If I'm aware that I can get you selling to me, got the cement for 5,000, then why will I buy it from you for 7,000? Because the dealers have formed a cartel. These are the things we must break. We must break this circle of wickedness that we are doing to ourselves.
Now that we are here talking about cement, of course, we know what this has done to the prices of, rents, not just in Abuja, but across this country. The Executive Vice Chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Council just said yesterday that, look, we are giving a 1-month moratorium to businesses in this country to crash their prices. After that 1-month window closes, it's going to be sanction after sanction after sanction, and so on and so forth. Is that somebody talking with his head in the clouds, or is he realistic?
His head is way above the clouds. His head is in the planet space. Because every country that has done that have found themselves in far more inflation and a worse economy. In America, it's called the bread line. It's happened. You see, there's nothing new in the world. There's nothing new. These things have happened before. Buhari's time, his first tenure, people had to start queuing for food. The moment you say you want to regulate food stuff and food prices, then you now have places where you're selling, then a queue starts, you now have a demand problem, you now have a supply problem. We're going to be back at square one. What needs to be done? The government needs to be innovative about this. I've dropped proposals at the Ministry of Agric and wherever, and they're still taking forever to look at it. Own some part of this business. If you see the price at 12,000, find a way to sell it in smaller pockets. Smaller.
That's government.
Yes. Or contract a third-party agency that can sell it in smaller packets directly to the retailers, to the end consumer, not retailers. Jump the middlemen, because I am telling you, the middlemen are the problem of this country as we stand.
Right.
If things get better, we are all the problem, but for now, this is where it is. Jump the middlemen, go directly to the table, go directly to the houses, find a way to, and of course, people have their phones, people have their businesses. Go directly to them, supply them directly. Let that overhead that comes from all the bottlenecks disappear. But if you say you're going to want them to crash the prices, I'm waiting for 1 month to see what will happen to the prices.
Why is it so difficult to do all of this control, for example? Yes, they've said government has no business in business, even though some development economists now argue that, look, that's not true, because they say at the microeconomic level that government has a level of role it can play in business.
Of course.
In addition to the regulatory mandates that all its ministries and agencies have, and so on and so forth. But beyond the political rhetorics and the, as they say, I mean, looking at the optics and all of that, how do we ensure that we are able to crash the prices of essential commodities in this country in ways that are realistic with a win-win kind of arrangement?
You're pushing me to put details to the proposal I submitted to the Ministry of Agriculture.
And I will appreciate that without having to become your competitor.
Well, let's do it for Nigeria. This is what I said. Let's say a bag of rice costs 80,000 in the market, right? And you want to sell that bag for 40,000. Get a company or a consultant you have signed on. Give them that bag at 40,000 naira. Now, don't sell that bag wholesale. Sell that bag divide it into 10 to the quantity that a house will need for like 2 weeks. And then sell with their BV, with NIN. Put it on a website. Put it in stores. You order. Once you buy, you cannot buy again for 2 weeks.
So it's automated?
Yes, it's automated. So let's say I buy a 10 kg bag of rice for 4,000 naira. I will enjoy it in my house. It's lesser, it's far cheaper. And 2 weeks' time, I'll reorder again. By this, you frustrate those who are storing. See, you need to understand that there's more food stored in warehouses right now than there's food in the markets. Why? Because the people who are storing food in the warehouse are banking on the prices to go up.
So again, this is some sort of speculation.
Yes. So when you kill that speculation, when you do what I am suggesting, you keep your food in the warehouse and I'm selling it at half the price. People are not going to the market to buy up the ones that are in the market. People are rushing to me to buy what I'm selling to them directly online. People on the market begin to rush to sell what they have. Nobody wants to lose. The people who have kept it in stores are seeing that the price is crashing, they force it out. The government will be smarter than the people.
As it stands right now, does it not look like the core ministries and agencies of government that should be having this conversation and driving this narrative, particularly in this regard, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture rural development don't seem to understand what time it is.
To be honest, the man is trying. I've been to his office a few times. I've had a few discussions.
I know, even before him, also we've had a few
Yes,
of them.
I know. You see, agric is not something you can fix overnight. You have to plant it. Before planting it, there's a lot of process that has to go into agric. You can reduce other policies overnight, but you can't grow beans overnight. I'm just giving an illustration. So many of these things are problems that have taken place over time. I'll give an example. Baga is a local government in Brno. They've not farmed for 12 years.
Because of insurgency?
Yes, but they've started farming this year. So there are many other places like that have not farmed for long. Benue is still farming less than 10% of what it used to farm 12 years ago. So what we are having is also a supply problem. The production level of what we used to provide before locally is very low. Another factor you need to put into play is the global prices of this food we're talking about. So these are all the things we need to bring into play. China is buying up our food. Lebanon is buying up our food. India is buying up our food before they are harvested. I'm not telling you a story. I'm telling you things I've talked with farmers. You're a farmer and somebody is offering you the exact price of your commodity before it's harvested. You have not even transported it. So you want to reduce your risk. You want to sell to him. But because the naira is devalued, what you think is expensive in naira is very cheap in dollars.
Right. So you are short selling yourself?
Yes. No, we are short selling.
We are short selling ourselves?
Yes. So what you are complaining is expensive as rice. When you convert that price of that rice to dollars, it's very cheap abroad.
Right.
So for them, it's better for them to buy from here and fly it out. So that leads us to a shortage. For the first time, tomatoes didn't spoil. Other years, tomato would even spoil in the market because there was too much supply.
There was a supply kind of glut in the market.
Yes, but now there's no supply. If you bring tomato out, it's bought immediately from the car. As it drops, it's bought. Even the ones that are smashed are bought. We have a supply problem. It's not just demand.
Last year, President Tinubu, just a few weeks after coming into office, declared state of emergency on agriculture.
Yes.
As it stands today, virtually 1 year down the line, has that seen the light of day?
He has done 3 things that they should have done 7 months earlier. Some of us, that's why we started coming to TV so that we can cry out early. We said from December, I wish I had the tapes to play here. We said from December that they should open the borders for food to come in, but not for food to go out. You don't have enough and there are foods around you. Let it come in. You can bank on Nigeria's capitalists to bring the food in. Let the food now be surplus. When the food is surplus,
It shut down.
It will shut down. The prices will start coming down. So it took a long time before the government was able to lift the ban from CBN on things. They have not opened the border yet. They now said, okay, let's remove, let's do a waiver. All of that is good, but it's taking time. It's taking time
To come to fruition.
Yes. So, but as it's taking time, people are hungry every day. Food is a very dangerous thing. I always say to people, hunger is your best friend. It will never leave you. Whether you have money or not, hunger never leaves you. So people are hungry today. And people will be hungry tomorrow. And they must eat.
All right, I think for today we still have quite to talk about in the course of the program. But quickly, we're taking a break and we'll return. We'll be talking about some efforts now being made to move Nigeria, at least gradually, away from an oil-dependent economy. Who knows what the next idea will be? Maybe tech, who knows? Maybe agriculture. But you'll find out when we return from this break. Stay with us. Minister of Innovation, Science and Science and Technology Chief Uche Geoffrey Nanji has said that the federal government has given 47 million naira grants to 32 innovators and inventors across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Now, Nanji, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary Swabana Unko Asanye, said this at the 2023 Grants Award ceremony of the Presidential Standing Committee on Inventions and Innovations. For many people, 47 million naira for 32 innovators and creators doesn't seem to be, more like scratching the surface and all of that. But it's a step in the right direction, the initiative itself, isn't it?
Yes, it is a step in the right direction. The amount is good for any business that knows what it's doing. You can set up any tech company. And then tech is somewhere we should invest. You can give, tech is funny because you can have 200 tech people and 2 succeed. And it will help the economy more than the other 198 that didn't succeed. So the issue will now be, were they able to run a transparent process that brought the best 32? This is where the question is. Was this something that was done, thrown open to the public? Did people apply? You see, this is why times I praise Goodluck. The You Win initiative by Goodluck is the last transparent grant I've seen. Because anybody could apply. There were stages, there were trainings.
You didn't have to know somebody up there.
You didn't have to know anybody. The process was followed through. So whoever got. Even those who got, some still didn't use it. There are people who got the first tranche, 3 million, and used that 3 million to japa. There are people like that. There are different cases. You see, you can never get it right. We cannot bank that these people who got 47,000, 3 of them will not travel out of this country next week. Those are the kind of issues that happen. They are humans, and these are human problems. But it's a good thing. Invest in tech, and I wished they put it to youths within the age of less than 30. Because we need to give younger people more opportunities with fresher ideas, with fresh legs, with more experience on tech. They know what to do with their phone that you know nothing about. So this was good by the government, but it's...
This move again has sparked that conversation about moving away from oil to other sectors, whether it's services, agriculture, tech, like we said, and what have you. Some experts in the field of economics are now saying that what Nigeria should have been doing the last 30 years in particular was to deliberately, government after government, move the chunk of the money that comes from sale of crude oil into areas like tech. They should have been forward-looking, like India, for example, like China, for instance, who would send their best hands, their best brains to all of the Ivy League colleges in the US, bring them back, to expand opportunities for their people back at home and all of that. Is it too late right now?
If you want me to be very, very honest, right? I don't believe tech is our problem now. We have caught up with social media. We've caught up with AI. We've caught up with music. We've caught up with movies.
Are we caught up, or we're learning the ropes?
Yeah, we're learning. What I'm saying is that in the music industry, Nigerians are doing as well as almost any artist on the globe. Same in movies. We've caught up with that age. Social media, we have more influencers than many countries. We've caught up with a lot. Where we have missed it, and we are still dodging it, and we are still running away from it, and we will never fix Nigeria until we fix that. We missed out on the iron and steel age because of the mess in Ajakuta, which is the reason why Nigeria is still stunted. We can do makeup to cover up and do some IT firms. The IT firms that have succeeded didn't succeed with the government's help. Flutterwave didn't need the government to succeed. IT is a firm, is a sphere in which people can succeed even without you. Music, they can succeed without you. The place we can't succeed without you is in production. We don't have iron. The government removed the subsidy on banned importation of wheelbarrows, toothpicks, for 8 years. And after 8 years, we still do not have one company that produces wheelbarrow. This is what we are saying. This iron in this chair was not brought from Nigeria. It was imported. These are the problems. You see, once you miss out on that age, everything you're going to have is going to be plastic. Because if you want to go into farming, you need tools. Where are you going to get the tools? You would have to import them. You have to import the accessories. This keeps bringing a demand on dollar. But what if you're able to produce the tractors here? You're able to produce the pans for bakeries here. We missed out on the production age, and until a government takes the risk to go and fix steel being produced in Nigeria, iron being produced in Nigeria, take it from me, you don't need a prophet, we are going nowhere until we fix that.
As of today, for example, it is still a shame, a big shame. I mean, you and I agree that Nigeria cannot boast about a vibrant, forward-looking manufacturing sector. Every other week, I mean, you look at the news, you see the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria crying about one problem after the other. If it's not about energy today, it's about multiple taxation tomorrow. And the day that follows, they're talking about depletion in manpower, human resource, human capital factors, people leaving the country for greener pastures overseas, and what have you. Is it not time Nigeria adopted a model, whether it's going to be the Singapore kind of it, the Taiwan kind of it, the India kind of it, the Chinese kind of it? Do we even have a model as it stands right now to guide us in that direction?
See, this is what I'm saying. Japan was behind, and they now sat down and said, okay, for 10 years, we will face iron and steel. This is what I'm saying. This is still what is missing. So they didn't face human capital. They didn't face IT. They faced iron. This is the basic. Everything builds up from here. It was from meeting up on that age, they were able to catch up when the computer age came. Because computer age still needed iron and steel. We have missed out on this. We have politicized every other matter. If I was the president, I must visit those places. We need to know what's happening. You can't. And of course, there are a lot of bad deals that have gone on in that place. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of people that have past leaders who have made out with money from that sector. So as a president, you really don't want to look like you are wanting to step on toes. You want to stay away from it. We cannot do this forever. We must fix steel. We must have, if Ajaokuta starts functioning today, it will employ 500,000 engineers, not IT students, not administrators, not transport, 500,000 engineers. We will produce and sell to Africa. We can't keep being the ostrich, put our head in the sand and be talking. We have IT. IT is doing well. On influencer, ask Twitter. Nigerians are doing very well. But after they do that and they make money from Twitter, what will they eat? You cannot eat your money that you made from Twitter. And your factories, your farms must all be powered by iron, by steel, by production. We are lacking in production.
Let's talk about the Ajaokuta thing, for example, because just like you alluded to last year, the government had told us upon completion, I mean, if it gets revamped, and we hope that happens soon enough, it has the potential of hiring at least 500,000 workers, whether they were going to be just all engineers or a mix of different professions and backgrounds is yet to be seen. But that facility, we understand, holds a lot of blessing. Beyond the political factor, what else do we need to do real quick to get this whole thing moving?
Well, it's a long story that we don't have the time for. But in 1 minute, I would say that the steel that we had in the location in Itakpe was not the best.
Right.
Then I had to make another rolling, which was why they put the train there. Now we have turned that train already to a commercial train. Now that train is going from there to Warri. That train was supposed to be able to move the steel between Ajaokuta, Itakpe, and another rolling mill. We need to get the best brains to come. It's a 1 hour discussion. I can't do that now. We're out of time. We need to get the best brains to sit down and fix this. If it takes us 30 billion to fix it, we need to fix it. Whatever it takes us. And we need to get the best hands of people with integrity. I'm not saying they should do it. People that Nigerians trust. I don't know who Nigerians trust, but I can say we trust, most people trust the man on Brekete, some people trust Serap, some people trust Dele. Just gather those people that people trust and form them into a committee.
People with street cred.
Yes, with street credibility. Form them into a committee and let them oversee that. I'm not saying they should have a decision. They won't be decision makers.
They're more like watchdogs.
Yes, watchdogs. They'll be able to tell us day in, day out. This is the same thing the president should have done on the 3 refineries. Because people don't believe you again. Whatever you say you are doing on a Nigerian refinery, we've had that story for 12 years. No matter what you are doing, we've had that story for 12 years. So people don't believe you. Bring people they believe to go there, video the progress there, and then they should give their own report back and do not pay them for it. So that they cannot claim that they were bribed.
They were induced.
Yeah, they were induced. So this is the way forward.
All right, I think that's what it should be, finding a way forward in all of these. We need to realize that Nigeria belongs to us all, and whatever conversations we are having, particularly here at Global Television, the whole idea is to continue to have the right narratives put in front of you so that we understand what exactly it is that is going on. But one thing I'm sure every right-thinking Nigerian, home and abroad, does agree with is the fact that as of today, we aren't in a good place as a country, and there's need for us to come together, tell ourselves the truth, but we need courage to accomplish that. However, once that phase is done and over with, the sky will be the starting point for a great country like Nigeria. I'd like to say a big thank you to you, Toba Owojaye, for coming on the program tonight. And that's how we'll leave it here, and we at Mofwebe shortly will bring you a news cycle. Do stay with Global Television. I'll see you again.